There's one night in the long history of the Arirang World Tour that armies around the world still talk about to this day. That night wasn't just a concert. It became a legend in its own right, spreading from the stadium to X-rated timelines, TikTok, and international fandom forums. It was day 2 in Tampa, Florida, when Raymond James Stadium wasn't just filled with fans, it was filled with soul, light, and unwavering energy. And Kpop News recorded this moment as one of the most emotional moments of the global tour. The stadium was already pulsing even before the lights went down. A sea of purple light bombs lit up like a galaxy slowly rotating in the center of the earth. Every seat was filled. Every voice echoed. Every army stood, waiting for the first moment the stage came to life. When the lights finally dimmed, the entire world held its breath. White smoke curled up and enveloped the stage floor. Pyrotechnic booms struck the night sky. And from behind the curtain of smoke, 7 silhouettes emerged one by one. As soon as BTS stepped forward, the atmosphere of the stadium changed. There was a powerful vibration, not just from the sound of thousands of people, but from their presence, which seemed to carry a storm from the stage to the furthest rows. And somehow, that night, everything felt different from the moment Taehyung stepped onto the stage. It wasn't just his usual charisma, it was a much deeper, more elegant, more commanding aura. His performance that night was like a living work of art. Avant-garde clothes, sharp details on his face, and a gaze that pierced straight into the camera. It didn't take long for ARMY to rechristen him Stage Royalty V. And to anyone watching, the nickname felt all too apt. Meanwhile, the attention was equally focused on Jimin. As the stage lights reflected off his shiny black jacket, the entire stadium seemed to transform into a giant runway. His hair was pulled back in a neat, elegant ponytail, perfectly fitting his stage style that night. Every time the camera panned to him, his smile not only made the audience scream, it also made the millions of ARMY at home feel the same sensation, as if they were right there in the front row. His movements remained smooth, flexible, and precise, but this time his hairstyle took on a significant role. Many said the ponytail almost seemed like the 8th member of BTS that night. Its impact was as powerful as the spotlight. And then there was Jungkook. From the very beginning, it was clear he brought a different energy. As the opening music boomed and the stage filled with smoke, he burst into a sprint, not a jog, not a slow pace, but a full-throttle sprint that made the arena seem to explode. His leather jacket fluttered, his arm tattoos were clearly visible under the lights, and his body leaped high with full force. The scene instantly went viral. Slow-motion videos of the jump filled X timelines and YouTube within minutes. If Jimin hypnotized with elegance, and Taehyung conquered with nobility, then Jungkook thundered like a hurricane, sweeping through the stadium. But the night wasn't just about those three. For all 7 members performed in full force, OT7, and each of them played a crucial role in making the night unforgettable in ARMY's memories. RM emerged with an aura of leadership that immediately captured the attention of anyone who saw him. His voice was deep, steady, and filled the stage like an unmoving foundation. Jin, with a radiant visual even more dazzling than the flashing lights, made the audience scream with just a small smile. Suga brought his signature cool energy, calm, powerful, yet with an emotional weight that made every bar feel like poetry. And J-Hope, he was a spark that never went out. His dance moves that night were so fast, so agile, that the stage felt like a playground that only he knew how to master. When the 7 members stood together, that was when the ultimate explosion occurred. Not from fireworks, not from stage effects, but from their wholeness. From the fusion of sound, energy, and togetherness that can only be forged through years of shared experience. Every song felt like a new journey. Every break felt like a small moment of miracle. And every glance they gave ARMY contained a gratitude that was hard to describe in words. Then came the part that truly made the night legendary, the sea of purple. The ARMY bomb rose high. Waves of light flowed to the beat. From the stage, the members saw thousands of dots of light moving like waves across the sky. The color purple is not just a fandom color, It is a symbol of the long journey that BTS and ARMY have gone through from their early days to now standing in a giant stadium full of love. The night wasn't truly over, because as the sea of purple slowly subsided, it was precisely then that the other side of the concert began to feel deeper, more personal, and far more deeply ingrained in the hearts of all who witnessed it. The previously explosive energy slowly gave way to a calm warmth, as if the entire stadium were taking a collective breath after such a long, emotional journey. BTS didn't leave the stage immediately. They remained there, gazing at ARMY with a different gaze, softer, more meaningful, as if trying to immortalize the moment in their own memories. Taehyung stepped forward slightly, still possessing his powerful stage royalty aura, but this time his expression had changed. It wasn't the sharp and charismatic air of the beginning, but rather warmer, almost vulnerable. He gazed up at the upper stands, at the sea of purple lights that hadn't yet fully dissipated, and smiled a small smile. It was a simple smile, but enough to make the thousands of people cheer again. It was as if he wanted to convey that everything that happened that night wasn't just about the performance, but about a togetherness that could never be repeated in the same way. Meanwhile, Jimin was seen slowly walking down the stage, occasionally bowing to the audience in the front row. His previously talked-about ponytail was still neatly tied back, but it was no longer just a fashion statement. It was part of the evening's identity. He waved, sent flying kisses, and every gesture felt more sincere than ever. Many armies captured the moment and immediately shared it, making it a small piece of a big night they wouldn't want to forget. Jungkook, who had previously been bursting with boundless energy, stood up and took a deep breath. He looked around the stadium, then smiled broadly like someone who had just accomplished something truly meaningful. Occasionally, he gestured to the audience, as if acknowledging that without them, the big jumps and energy he had displayed earlier wouldn't have had the same meaning. Even without the thundering music, his presence still felt powerful, more human, more intimate. RM then took the microphone, and as usual, the atmosphere immediately shifted. His deep voice filled the stadium, but this time not for rapping or song intros, but for speaking. His words were simple, yet full of meaning. He talked about the journey, about the distance they'd traveled, and about how the night felt different even to them. Jin stood beside him, smiling occasionally as he looked out at the audience, his face still glowing even without the excessive lighting effects. Suga, who had carried a calm yet powerful aura from the start, seemed a little more open that night. He raised his hand, waving in his signature casual manner, but there was something in his eyes that showed how deeply he felt the moment. J-Hope didn't stop moving. Even at the end, he was still dancing a little, spreading his positive energy throughout the stadium, keeping the atmosphere alive even as the concert drew to a close. And when they finally stood lined up as OT7, one straight line in the center of the stage, it felt like the perfect ending. Not an abrupt ending, but one that had been building steadily since the beginning, from the burst of energy, the stunning visuals, to a meaningful silence. They looked at each other, then back at ARMY. There was no big effect. No fireworks. Just 7 people and thousands of purple lights still burning. Then, without another word, they bowed together. And that's when the stadium filled with sound again, not the hysterical screams of the beginning, but a long, emotional cheer. Many cried. Many smiled. Many simply stood still, trying to capture every moment in their memories. That second night in Tampa was finally over, but the story never truly ended. The clips continued to circulate. The photos continued to be shared. And everyone who was there took home something different. A memory, a feeling, or perhaps a new reason to continue loving BTS. Because in the end, what made that night legendary wasn't just the incredible performances of Taehyung, Jimin, or Jungkook. It wasn't just the power of OT7 on stage. It was the unseen connection, the one that could only be felt between BTS and ARMY, which, for one night in Tampa, felt so real and so irreplaceable.